What's up, Internet? I'm Huston from Be Terrible Productions, and today we're going to talk about Halloween Horror Nights. Real quick, for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Halloween Horror Nights is an annual event that they've been holding at Universal Studios Florida for the past 25 years. The best way to describe this event, if you haven't gone, is think about the haunted houses that you go to or that you used to go to on Halloween. Now take those haunted houses and give them a way bigger budget, theme them after your favorite scary movies, put about 9 of those houses in a theme park, and in between those houses you have scare actors running around with chainsaws and stuff trying to scare you in between going to the houses. That, in a nutshell, is the glory that is Halloween Horror Nights. If you've never been, and this sounds like something you'd want to attend, then this video is for you. If you have been, or are going this year, and you want to know what's going to be there this year, well, this video is for you. If you just woke up, rolled out of bed, and clicked on the first bearded jerk that you saw on YouTube, well, this video is definitely for you. This year is Halloween Horror Nights 26, and it's coming off the back of one of the most well-received Halloween Horror Nights to date. HHN 25 had everything you wanted to see, from new shows to classic scary movies to some of the newer stuff that's been coming out recently, and just about everything was done very, very well. That's going to be really tough for them to live up to, but that has not stopped them from trying to raise the kill count with some of these houses they've announced. And we'll get into that, but first I want to talk about who the icon for this year is going to be. This year, Chance is the icon, which I'm really excited to see how this plays out, because up until now, the past 2 or 3 times we've seen Chance, she's only been the sidekick to Jack. And it's really one of the first time that Halloween Horror Nights has committed to one of its minor league icons and brought them to the spotlight. Usually when they have plans to do this, it falls short. She was there last year for Halloween Horror Nights 25, and she was a big part of what made it, kind of awesome. And so everybody I know who was a Halloween Horror Nights fan was excited when they saw her get announced for the icon for this year. We're getting 2 shows this year from what they're telling us. The first one, of course, is going to be the Wild Stallions returning in Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure.
Excellent!
If you've never seen that show before, it's usually like a comical review of the year mixed with, in their words, sexy dancing. So it's actually usually a really funny show, and it's usually packed when you go there because people make a point to see that show. The next one is a new addition to Halloween Horror Nights by a dance group called the Academy of Villains. That's a pretty cool name. Apparently they've been on a few of the dance shows and got a little bit of fame that way. I'm not sure if they want to put them on the streets or if they're going to put them where the Jack show was last year. Don't know a whole lot about them. Sure, you can look them up on YouTube. Can't honestly say I'm going to be stopping to watch that to make a point of it, but if it's there, I may check it out. So for their sake, I hope they do well. If I could stop for a second and just say how bummed out I am that Chance isn't getting her own show. Her and Jack had an amazing show last year with acrobatics and pyro and funny skits, and they would turn the camera around and make fun of the audience, and it was a really good show. It was well worth stopping and watching, and I think it's one of the things that put last year kind of in the upper echelon of the Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just saying I think there was a missed opportunity this year by not giving her own show. Alright, let's talk houses. When it comes to houses at Halloween Horror Nights, you're basically going to have 2 categories. One of which being the IPs, which are the licensed movies that you'd see in the theater and on DVD, and the originals, which is the houses that the Universal team made up the stories for, and everything is basically all original content. I'm going to go through each of the houses, and when I do, when I start to talk about it, I'm going to pop up a map kind of showing where that house is. This map is something I got off a forum. It's actually really detailed. I'm really impressed with it. I want to say thanks to the guys I got it from. But at this moment, it is all speculation. The map is based on where events have been in the past, and where it looks like they're going to go according to construction that's happening right now. So keep that in mind when you see the map, that, right now any of this could change. Okay, so let's go over the original houses first. Ghost Town, The Curse of Lightning Gulch. It's a revamp of a house they had in 2004 that was just called Ghost Town. It's basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a western town that is haunted. If you're looking at the map right now, you'll be able to find that at D, up at the top there. There's a little icon that says Ghost Town on it. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of excited about this one, only because I want to see how much it varies from the old one they had. If they're using the same props and everything else, I hope they are, because that's kind of stuff I nerd out about. The next original house is going to be Tomb of the Ancients, and if you're looking at the map right now, that is at G. And from the description they're giving us, it's basically we're going to be running around these old ruins while like these ancient gods are trying to unleash all hell on the earth. Alright, the next one's going to be Chance's Lunatics Playground. This is the icon of the event. She gets her own house and her own scare zone this year. Supposedly we're going to be going through her psyche and snapping back to reality of like where she actually is in her existence right now. So this is probably going to be one of my favorite houses if it's done correctly. I can pretty much already go ahead and say that. If you're looking up at the map, it's going to be on E. You see a little picture of Chance there. Alright, so let's get into the IPs. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to start with the biggest one first, and that is A. You're looking at the map at A right now. Exorcist. Scariest freaking movie of all time. This is the first time they've ever done an Exorcist house. I'm really interested to see how they do this, because the majority of the Exorcist takes place in one or two rooms. So I'm trying to, I don't know if we're going to be traveling maybe through Regan's psyche as she was getting possessed, or if it's going to be outside, then in the piano room, then maybe the stairs with someone crawling down the stairs, then the bedroom. But I'm really interested to see how they pull this house off. This is a huge draw, and this is one of the ones when they announced this for the event. It was very obvious to see they were trying to top what they had done before. Moving from the biggest announcement to the most recent announcement, on B on the map we have American Horror Story. A lot of people I've talked to aren't really excited about American Horror Story if they're actually Halloween Horror Nights fans. I don't mind it. If we're going through all of the seasons, there's enough creepy stuff from all the seasons to put into a house. The important thing to remember, I think, is that it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to draw in people who who aren't the, crazy hardcore horror fans who've watched every single movie, but maybe they picked it up at Halloween Horror Nights, and it's another one of the IPs that's the purpose of the IPs. They draw people in who don't just want to come to a haunted house. Everyone's entitled to your own opinion. That's fine. I watched American Horror Story for the first 3 seasons. After that, I kind of got out of it. It wasn't really the last couple seasons haven't really been my deal. But I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm coming to the event to have a good time. Moving on. We'll bring up the map again. If you look at the map under C, you have, for the 5th year in a row, Walking Dead. The Walking Dead house was not incredibly well received last year. I think mainly any issue that people have had with it is that they tried to do a floating corpse gag, and they did that. It was very chlorinated water, and so you could smell the chlorine from rooms away from when they were supposed to have these floating zombies and everything else. I know that's kind of a hard gag to pull off, but it was also one of the ones they touted in the marketing highly. This year, they're telling us they're going to go from, we're going to get to see everything from season 1 up to the recent battle with the wolves in the show, or with Negan. I mean, they got me. They know I'm going to go. If I go to the end and I see Negan bashing someone's head with a bat, that's going to be pretty awesome. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know if they're allowed to even use the likeness of the characters from the show in there. But we'll see. Alright, next we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So if you're looking on the map, it's going to be over on F. And this movie is going to take place in the first movie for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And from what we're being told, the house should be trying to encompass the entire first movie. So I don't know if that means they're going to be running away at the end with a masked man going crazy and doing a spiral chainsaw dance as we're running away. But I'm excited to see what happens. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of my favorite horror movies when I was growing up. Another classic, another really big house for them to announce this year. And they've done it a few years, before, and I don't think I've been to one that it hasn't been good. Alright, the next house we're going to look at is on H. And that is Halloween. Hell's Return to Haddonfield. From what I understand, this is going to be taking place during the second Halloween movie, when Michael Myers breaks out of the Institute and comes back to kill his sister again. Do we know she's his sister at that point?
Well,
Halloween 2?
I don't know.
But we know now.
Yeah.
And that's what matters. I've never seen a bad Halloween house at Halloween Horror Nights. Michael Myers is another horror icon that just builds to this event and makes more people want to go, so awesome, can't wait. Last but not least, my dark horse vote for funniest house of the year is going to be on letter I, Krampus. I just recently watched the movie Krampus, and although I did find it amusing, I really hope Halloween Horror Nights brings a lot more gore to when they do the house, because there was a distinct lack of gore in the movie. I guess when I watched it, I was expecting like Black Xmas kind of gore, but when I saw it, I was just like, this is just funny. Krampus, funniest house of the year. Let's get into the scare zones. Scare zones are the themed areas in between the haunted houses that are in the park that have scare actors in them running around, making sure that you get the most out of your Halloween entertainment. They're also going to be chasing you with chainsaws and threatening bodily harm to you. It's pretty great. I love the scare zones because they allow a little bit more of an interaction between you and the scare actors. I'll give you a good example. Last year there was Psycho Scarapy had a scare zone outside. And they were up there and they had it's basically mental patients escaped from the mental institute and they started killing people. And they were up there holding a costume contest. And we were able to raise our hands and vote on who won the costume contest. And we made some really big dude who was dressed as a Viking stand up and say he was a princess. It was pretty fun. It was probably one of my favorite scare zones from last year. Besides the icon scare zones, because the icons are cool. Anyway, first scare zone we're going to talk about is called Survive or Die. Survive or Die is going to take place in New York. If you're looking at the map, it's going to be in this yellow area up here. And this one's going to be a post-apocalyptic scare zone where you have multiple groups who are trying to procure this huge fresh air machine. And they're either trying to recruit you or kill you. This sounds a lot like a mix between Mad Max and Fallout. Witness me! I might be into that. Next, we're going to be moving over to Lair of the Banshee, which is going to be in the wooded area, the narrow little wooded walkway in Central Park. Every year they have some kind of a forest scare zone here, and I love it. According to what it says, we'll be traveling deep within the forest of horrific ancient creatures, which basically sounds like some of the same scare zones we've seen before. I don't care. I love it. Alright, the next one we're going to go over as far as scare zones go is Dead Man's Wharf. And this is going to be taking place over in the San Francisco area, around where they have most of the harbor stuff and the Jaws shark is right now. Bring Jaws back. I don't care how you do it. It doesn't have to replace Harry Potter. Just bring Jaws back. Create a new park. Bring Jaws back, please. Anyway, so it looks like a ghost ship that returns back to the harbor, and we have some of those creatures wandering around and everything else. I'm excited about this one. I can't wait to see it. I hope they use the Jaws shark for something funny. If you look at any of the construction updates, you'll see that there is the tip of a boat that's already on there. If there isn't a scare actor at the tip of the boat with his hands out screaming he's the king of the world, that's a missed opportunity. The next scare zone is Vamp 1955. That's going to be taking place in the Hollywood area. According to the description, it's basically teenage vampires from 1955. And it looks like it's going to be taking place all the way up to Mel's die-in. Last but not least, as far as scare zones go, A Chance in Hell, which is Chance's scare zone. From what they're saying, it's going to take place between Shrek and Minions. And that little alleyway there, which is usually a pretty small area for a scare zone. If that's true, I would think it would make sense for her house to spill out into her scare zone. Maybe not. I don't know exactly what they have planned for that, but that would, that seems like it would be awesome if they did. But basically, A Chance in Hell is going to be an extension of her house, where it looks like some of the other psychopaths that were in the Institute are going to be helping her either get out or be chosen to be a part of the group. I don't know. Really happy, really excited to be there and see it. Can't wait. So far, we've gone over the icons, the houses, the shows, and the scare zones of Halloween Horror Nights. There is one thing that we haven't talked about yet, and it's for good reason. This year, after they made their last bit of announcements for the houses and the shows, the day after they made an announcement saying there was going to be an add-on experience for Halloween Horror Nights this year. Basically, this year they're going to be offering a VR experience. They're calling it the Repository. They're not going to be offering it until September 28th. It's going to be $50 a person, and you can only go 4 people at a time. They've upset a lot of people with this. So I'd like, real quick, if we could, I'd like to weigh out the pros and cons of a situation like this. I think it's a great idea. However, I either think it's been executed poorly for one reason or another. I either think it's been executed poorly because it's greedy, or I think it's been executed poorly because it was just being really sloppily done. And I'll explain that first. A reason why it's a bad idea for me. I don't live in Orlando anymore. I used to go to school there. I was there for a while, and I went to theme parks every single weekend, and I loved it. I graduated. I moved back up to North Florida now, so I don't get to go every single weekend anymore. And now that I'm bringing my girlfriend and our kid, we have to plan our vacations. Doing that, gotta get a rental car and everything else. What I'm really trying to get at is that it takes planning for us to do that. If not months in advance to plan to go this, especially at an event like Halloween Horror Nights, which is susceptible to sell out on certain dates. I like going on opening night when you have opening ceremonies, and it's usually the biggest crowd, and you get to see everything fresh. The first reason why this sucks is because they're not going to make this available until the 28th, which is 2 weeks after the event starts. That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe they'll be doing technical auditions up until then, but it really feels like it's something they should have been doing before now. 2, along with planning, you pay for tickets. And tickets keep going up in price. This stuff's not cheap. Since I'm going for one night, I'm going to have me and Katie's ticket, and then me and Katie's express pass. That's very nearly $500 right there. And so now after I bought my ticket, I didn't even buy a package ticket. If I bought a package, I'd probably been more ticked off, because some of these guys are buying the ultimate package, which is like $500 a person. And for you to wait until a month before the event is opening to tell us about this add-on, and also tell us that the Premier Pass people have, first selection of it, and then also tell us that it has to be done by this, and you can only use 4 people, and it's an additional $50 a head on top of that. understandable why some people will be pretty upset. So to everybody else, it looks like A, this is really greedy of you, and B, you're kind of saying screw you to your fans. I would really like for them to explore this technology with houses. It's probably the only way I'm ever going to get a Ghostbusters house is in VR. So far this year, it just seems like they've kind of missed the mark with it, and a lot of people are butthurt about it. Well, thanks for coming by. Thanks for watching the video and let me ramble about Halloween Horror Nights for a little bit. If you like the video, leave a comment. Like, subscribe, hang out and watch our other videos. I've been Huston from Be Terrible Productions. Later, nerds.